Hello, everybody, and welcome back to 100 Acres of Ink. I'm Tegan. I'm here with Chris, and it's another week. More set championships in the books. What have you been up to lately in terms of Lorcana?
Sure. So I've decided I'm going to take a month off or so from competitive events, running around, set champs, doing all that. As I'm sure watchers of our podcast know, I've done a couple of these DLCs. I was at nationals with you. It's been a lot of running around and a lot of traveling. I think at least for the next month or so, take a break, relax, recharge, get myself ready for whatever the second season of DLCs is. And of course, these two, at least the new set that we're getting in Acacia's Island that's coming out in March. I did manage to secure my scar and my mat. I'm super happy about that. How about you? Do you have any more set champs coming up that you're going to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still on the chase for a mat, so we'll see what happens there. I feel like I just choke in top eight, and so I don't know. I'm hoping I can get that behind me. I played a
Mhm.
little bit of just kind of a fun deck for a couple. Played one last weekend,
Mhm.
and I played a just-in-time Amber Amethyst deck with Mufasa. It was pretty fun. Drew terribly, ultimately, and that really hurt. It's hard to be a just-in-time deck when you don't see just-in-time after mulling six in multiple games. Um,
Yeah, funny how that works. Yeah, you build your deck around your card, and it just decides, yeah, I just don't want to be here today.
you'd think by turn three you'd have it, but it just didn't work out, and got destroyed by Emerald Steel because I wasn't able to just in time Elsa or
Hmm.
just in time Isabella to be able to deal with the bird,
Hmm.
and lost to RP because I wasn't able to. I missed double one drop on two and then missed just in time, and so
Hmm.
they got two Flynn triggers, and the rest was history.
Yeah,
So
yikes.
I'm gonna play different stuff this weekend. I've been back kind of testing the aggressive blue steel strategy this week.
Got it.
With the kind of Kiwi Birds deck is what the nickname for the deck has kind of become, which is the deck that Harlan played at EU
Hmm.
uh, LCQ.
Hmm.
So I've been testing that again this week. Couple changes in the list over the past month or so. Um, and the kind of people that are testing the deck right now are testing out the six drop Steel Jafar, which
Mm.
is turns out is pretty good in that deck.
That's the Challenger 7?
Yeah, Challenger 7 and characters with cost 4 or less cannot challenge your board at all.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Um, so, I don't know. That's a card that, like, I think most people just saw zero strength and just kind of wrote it off. But
Yeah.
it's very good into non-red matchups. Blurple, like their only removal is challenging, and so if you can kind of freeze a lot of their like foxes and crabs and
Hmm. Hmm.
other stuff, you just kind of win the matchup.
Yeah, no.
Um, at RP, they can't challenge you with their early stuff either. I mean, they can brawl
They can brawl the
the
Jafar,
Jafar.
but
Steel, like
yeah.
Steel, Purple Steel has to rely on a lot of challenging to kind of keep in the game. Um, so that's pretty fun. I'm testing that as a 3 of right now. I think that's what I'm gonna run tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. And hopefully I can bring one home this weekend. If not, I don't know. Next weekend I may just revert to playing blue red or something and just try to play big things.
Sure, sure. Makes sense.
Um, but yeah, still on the hunt for a mat. I really like the mat, so I'm hoping I can earn one this weekend.
Well, good luck to you, and good luck to anybody else who's watching. I hope you do well at your set chance, and if you get, and if you take it with an interesting list, please leave us a comment. We'd love to know what crazy builds, what spicy things you're working on. Always
Yeah,
fun to see what the community's on.
I'd love to do some like deck reviews of stuff if people left some comments and sent us what they're playing. So
Yeah.
let's jump into some headlines. Um, We have some more Dual Ink cards that have been revealed on
Hmm.
the official Lorcana Twitter.
Hmm.
Uh, and this, we don't know fully what this is about. I think there were some unofficial kind of spoilers that got leaked, but during an opponent's turn, whenever one of your illusion cards is banished, you may return that card to your hand. So illusion seems like some sort of keyword here, maybe, or classification for cards. And I don't know, a dual ink Jafar card, 2/4, quest for two.
I actually haven't thought about this. So Magic had that mechanic very similar, where you had a bunch of creatures that were, their subtype was illusion, and it was whenever you targeted them with uh, like a spell or an ability, they sacrifice themselves. They just poof, right because they're an
Hmm.
illusion. You try to hit them with a thing, and they just poof. So I wonder if it's something similar, and that's why it has this text, right? So instead of whenever they
Sure.
get targeted, they instead of banishing, they just go back to your hand, so you can just replay them for value. Although that makes me wonder if we're going to get an illusion with a really good enter the battlefield ability or like enter play ability, because usually, for those cards they were really low. They were really low mana or really low ink cost, but they had really good stats or they had a really good effect that, of course, was mitigated by, hey, you just point at me and I go away. So it'll be good to see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Illusion and kind of summoning seems like a very purpley amethyst kind of ability.
Hmm.
So makes sense that this is a at least partially amethyst card.
Hmm.
Next card that got revealed is we got a beast. Seems to pair with the bell that we showed on the channel last week. Beast Frustrated Designer, Dreamborn Hero Prince Inventor, 5/5, so pretty decent stats. It is uninkable, 6 drop, quest for two. Exert this character, pay 2 ink, banish 2 of your items, deal 5 damage to chosen character. So it's launch on a body, but more expensive.
It's still not enough to kill Hiram.
Yeah, still not enough to kill Hiram. I don't know. I don't imagine this card will see that much play.
Yeah,
Um,
the one deck maybe where it sees any kind of use is, there was that 5 drop Prince John that allows you to exert it to return, cards from your discard, and it was using it to
yeah,
play,
like a Queen
Popsicle.
Diviner type of list.
Yeah, where it's just cool. I'm gonna play a bunch of really small items. They just get interplay effects, and then so you can use this as a like. Well, now that I've got a bunch of them, I'm just gonna start banishing them to start getting rid of your things. So it adds a removal piece to that. But even then, this card, it's just not quite there.
It also is very slow, right? Like you
Yeah.
can't. It's not just pay 2 ink, banish 2 items, and then do the thing.
Yeah.
Like you have to wait until this is dry the following turn.
Yep.
I mean, it is a 5/5, so it's going to be harder to remove. It dies to Zeus, but
Yeah, it dies to Zeus, and then on the backswing, your opponent can, if they need to, for whatever reason, like, exert it off something and then smash a Maui into it or smash something with a crab into it, and it just goes away.
yeah.
So,
Maybe we'll get a blue cheap beast though. Like a 2 drop beast would be very good for Sapphire Steel. So we can shift Tragic Hero on it. So I don't know. We can hope.
what do you mean? There's the resist one. What is it? A 1/4 beast?
It's a 2/3 resist one, but it's a 3 drop, and you want to be shifting beast on three.
Yeah.
Uh, so it needs to be a 2 drop or a 1 drop. Next, Sven.
Mhm.
I think this card is actually really interesting. I think some people have compared it to the Elsa.
Mhm.
So the Elsa doesn't. The Elsa exerts a character, and this gives chosen character -3.
Mhm.
But you know, it doesn't need to be the same character that you challenge. So you could
Mhm.
give -3 to something, and then hit it with your Fox,
Mhm.
and then meanwhile rush some other, X2. Um, I think this card is really interesting.
Yeah.
And
No, especially because it's in blurple colors. It's definitely a thing you can probably combo, right? You can probably
yeah,
pretty easily get to, I don't know, 7 or 8, I guess it would cost to play Sven, make something small, smack it if it's got like 6 or 7 toughness or 7 willpower on it, and then bounce it with a fox, smash in with a fox, and have your
Yeah.
fox survive the trade. So seems really cool. Definitely opens a lot more play for Blood Bowl decks that we were seeing a bunch of this format, and who knows? Maybe this is that tool that they needed.
And uncommon cards seem to be pretty good in Lorcana historically. So
Yeah.
I think this card is also really interesting. I'm kind of excited to brew with this a little bit. Lady, Miss Park Avenue. It's a Floodborn lady, so that means
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna get a cheap lady. She's a shift 3
Mm-hmm.
in Amber Emerald, which is a kind of aggro color mostly. There's
Yeah.
the kind of song variant. But when you play this character, you may return up to 2 character cards with cost 2 or less, each from your discard to your hand, which means those merfolk, they're coming back to your hand. Those go-go's, those are coming back to your hand. Pegasus, there's a lot of cheap
Oh,
1 or 2 drops in these colors. Daisy,
I was gonna
um,
say Daisy, Piglet.
Piglet,
If you're playing Cinderella for whatever reason, you can get back Cinderella off this. You can get
yeah.
back Ursula too to help keep removal out of your opponent's hand if they're playing songs.
And I
It's
think what's particularly good about this is it's not locked behind a shift mechanic. There's a
mhm,
lot of these cards that are, when you shift this character,
mhm,
search X card or, do X
X
ability.
thing.
But this is not locked behind a shift requirement. This is just when you play this character. So you can get it if you shift it in on 3. You can also get it once you get to 5 to just help refill your hand, because
Mhm,
that's one of the biggest problems that this color combination has had with
mhm,
aggressive strategies is there's just not enough card draw.
mhm,
And so this is functionally play 1 card, draw 2
mhm.
once you have cards in your discard. So I think this could be worth at least running, 2 to 3 of them in an aggressive kind of aggro list. So
Mhm. I will also point out that because it is in fact green, you can play everybody's favorite little alien boy. You can play a morph
yep.
because it's a good target. While we don't know if we're probably gonna get a lady, but until we get a lady, we also have morph, who is a 2 cost. Who, if it somehow ends up in your graveyard, you can play a lady, get morph back, and set up for other shenanigans later.
You can shift it in on Morph,
Hmm.
sing. We don't talk about Bruno to
Hmm.
remove something, right? Like, I think this does open up this color combo for a lot more play
Hmm.
kind of early in games. So I'm looking forward to this card.
That's gonna be fun.
All right, let's last headline. DLC Melbourne, Australia is going on as we speak, as we record this. This is Friday night here on the West Coast,
Hmm.
and I've been watching it on on stream tonight and watching it. I think there's been some questionable plays in a few spots, but I know they've had the game for a little bit less time than America. And I know there's a few Americans over there competing. I also know that there's some people from Europe that went down. DKP, the kind of noted red blue player, is there. No, I'm not. RP player from Labyrinth is there playing. So should be interesting. The results will probably be out for at least day 1 by the time I get this posted tomorrow. So and tomorrow evening, West Coast time, we should be able to be watching Top Cut, which will be a top 32. There's only 500 players playing in the event, so
Dang
uh,
it! should
yeah,
have should have figured out that last minute flight to Australia. Ah,
it is a cut to 32 instead of 64.
yeah.
There'll only be 4 golden Mickeys awarded, but regardless, I think be a lot of fun to play in, obviously, and I'm sure people are having a blast this weekend in Melbourne, Australia.
Hmm.
All right, let's jump into our judge segment. This will be a quick one. Um, with the dual ink colors being revealed, I think there's been some questions about um, can you play this dual ink color in let's take that beast card for example. It's a red blue card. Can you play it in Sapphire Steel, for example, because it's a Sapphire card? And I've seen a lot of conversation around this.
Hmm.
The answer seems pretty clear to me, and I know you and I looked it up in the comprehensive rules, and this is at least our take. You wanna explain it?
Yeah. So, as much as I would love the ability to splash this into like Sapphire Steel or splash this into like RP for whatever reason, if you'd want to do that, the rules are pretty clear in this game. Here's a snippet from the comprehensive rules for deck building requirements. In that each deck can contain decks of up to two colors, which means it maxes out at two. And because of the way that Lorcana cards are designed, their color identity is actually printed on the card. So in the case of something like that beast, its color identity is pretty clear. It's just Ruby and Sapphire, which means, unfortunately, you can only play it in a Ruby Sapphire deck. This works very similarly to some cards in Magic that were multicolored, where some of the community would split them into what are gold cards, which are cards that are gold bordered, but they are multiple colors, or hybrid cards. And so some of the Lorcana community was like, are these gold cards and that you can only play them in decks with the two colors, or are they hybrid cards and you can basically play them in either color deck? These are, in fact, gold. You can only really play them in the decks that are specifically of those two colors. It's just because of the way that the cards are templated and because of the way that the rules for the game currently work. They don't want us playing 3-color decks. They don't want us playing 4 or 5-color decks right now. Right now, it's just the two.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear here. It says, a deck can contain up to two colors, which means if you look at that beast card, it has two
Two
colors on it.
colors. Mm-hmm.
So I think it's pretty clear to me that this is only going to be playable in red blue decks.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know if you'd even play it there, but
Well, I didn't really prep a main topic for tonight. I think set champs are still going on. What's kind of our take on the Azurite Sea meta as it stands now? I think the meta still seems pretty diverse and pretty wide open to me. It shifted quite a bit. I think early on it was kind of genie decks running wild. Um, Diggy Diggy Hole kind of popped up and just is too fast for a lot of those decks to really handle.
mm-hmm,
You've kind of got red blue, which is still there doing red blue things and
mm-hmm.
ramping and wiping the board. What are your thoughts on the Azurite Sea meta? We've really only got 2 more weeks here of set champs, and then we'll kind of be in a lull until Azurite
Until Arcasia's Island comes out.
or
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, until Arcasia's Island. So
Yeah, honestly, I really like that we are in a really diverse meta. It's definitely, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's a very far cry from set one and set two, and it was really just kind of two, maybe three decks. And yeah, I really like that the meta shifted kind of dramatically. Uh, right. Yeah, you were right. We started with kind of genies and that being really effective, right? 2/4 evasive cantripping body was really good. And then as the meta developed and we found answers to that, we got Diggy Hole, we got a resurgence of green purple for sure. We've got a resurgence. Well, we had a resurgence of blue red to kind of deal with that, and then we had a resurgence of green purple to deal with that. I really really like this meta, and I think it's kind of wide open. I even every once in a while I'll go through ink decks just to see who's playing what, who's winning what. It's been fun to kind of go through, see a couple of interesting lists. Like I saw a Ruby Steel list that won a set champs, and I was like, wow, that's fascinating. I didn't think anybody was going to play that. I know I've seen Sapphire Emerald lists win a couple things, right? The meta is really, really diverse, and I like that it hasn't, even though I guess competitive, for whatever that means right now, given that we're in a lull of DLCs and stuff, might feel a little stale. We definitely have a lot of really interesting decks running around still, and I don't think, right? I think people still have space to sit and explore and test cards and see what happens and see what plays. Especially given, right, we're gonna see the meta shift kind of dramatically in set 7 with the release of that new mechanic of dueling cards. Like
mhm.
even if none of them turns out to be particularly broken, it's gonna change the way the meta plays. Like, there's no way you can't include a mechanic like that and have it not have any impact at all. There's no way that happens. I, for one, am definitely gonna be trying to test, like, yellow, like, Ember Emerald, discard with Lady for recurring Merfolks and Ursula 2s and, or, maybe I'll try the super aggro version because that is also a deck, right? It's just so many possibilities with just that one card. So, yeah, honestly, I really like the meta where it is. I love some of the different directions and kind of strategies people have tried to kind of adapt to this evolving meta. And I love that like some people have just kind of been like, cool, I'm still on these colors and I can just kind of adapt my play style to play around them, right? It's a really open and diverse meta and it's a really great thing to see for a game, especially for one that's not particularly that old yet.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty wide open meta still, and there's all kinds of decks that are doing well in different circumstances in different places. Even like Spessie's been playing this, the blue green bend to my will Clarabelle deck, and that's been kind of starting to raise up on ladder in various places. It's really frustrating to play against. It's not as good on the draw, but
Hmm.
on the play, it's really difficult to beat that deck.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think we're still in a meta that is really interesting and really innovative. I think, I think this meta reminds me a lot of the Into the Inklands meta, where
Yeah.
it was just kind of very diverse and very interesting. I think we kind of look back at the Ursula Returns meta pretty unfavorably. It was kind of Bucky, and that was about it.
Yeah.
Um, I think Set 5 had kind of some shifts and was rock paper scissors for a good portion of the meta, and then green steel kind of took over towards the end of the meta. But this meta so far, I don't think anybody's really cracked what the best deck in the format is at this point. Um, I think there's still a lot of things going around. So
Yeah. It's really healthy. I really love it. Uh the one thing I'm gonna say is I really hope, right, we've had a set we've had so Into the Inklands set 3 had a very diverse meta. We are currently in set 6, right? And we have a very diverse meta. I'm really hoping we don't end up in a kind of cyclical thing where it's
mm,
only every 3 sets end up really, really diverse. I'm hoping that they kind of keep this open field and we get to see a bunch of cool things and a bunch of people pop off and do some crazy things. The one thing I'm hoping, maybe we get a really cool combo deck. Not that not that Dime isn't a really interesting kind of way to end the game, but give me something crazy. Give me another Beast OTK in a different color, right? Give me something that just kind of like out of nowhere wins the game. Seems like fun.
yeah. Um, it'll be interesting to kind of see. I would love to see, some of the more like alternate win condition decks kind of start to raise like mill
Hmm.
as a strategy, is something that doesn't really exist. I mean, it kind of exists, but it's not really very competitively viable.
Hmm.
So I would love to see that be a bit more something like that, right? Where you've got kind of an alternate win condition.
Sure. Yeah. No, that'd be super amazing. You definitely want some tools for that, right? Some kind of, I don't know. I want to see somebody make Maleficent staff work. That's what I want to see. Some kind of like bounce all your stuff, gain all the lore. Because you know me. If you can't play the game, I'm having a lot of fun.
I brewed with it a little bit at the beginning of the set. I think the problem is that like it would be a lot better if it was something that you could pair with blue
Hmm.
a bit better, that you could ramp and kind of do a lot of things, and then it could be a bit more like a control deck.
Hmm.
I I think it kind of pairs with Emerald the most right now because of all the kind of bounce effects, and that really limits it, I think, because you're not kind of inking in the same way and getting up to bigger ink counts to be able to bounce a lot of things
Hmm.
and kind of win the game that way. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where we head.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think with that we'll end this one as a fairly short episode this week. I know you're kind of taking a break, and I've got some stuff to prep for tomorrow. I need to update my paper list to this Jafar list. So um, hope you have a good weekend,
You
and
too. Let me know how things work out. Everybody else, leave us a comment, like, subscribe if you want. If you like what we do and you want to see more episodes. And heck, if you've got ideas for Judge, if you've got any ideas for Judge, drop us a line. It's always fun to see weird interactions and see what comes up for people. Otherwise, everybody else, send your energy to Tegan. She's gotta get a mat. We're
gotta
gonna
get
do it.
all right. Well, have a good night, everyone, and thanks for joining. We'll see you in the next one.
All right. Bye.